Hello there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada, and for this month's Stamping Society tutorial, we are using our favorite pre-order items. Now I'm going to tell you, this is a mishmash of supplies, but the star of this has got to be the Sweet Songbirds bundle. I've also used the Dots and Spots die, which is brand new and will be available very soon for you. You can see on this one, both of them. So I did two variations. One of them, I die cut some strips of color cardstock and I put them back in there to kind of create a rainbow. Couldn't quite do an arch, but it's cute nonetheless, right? But I thought, if you don't want to go through all the trouble of cutting strips and then taping them together to die cut, like so, then you could just color a piece of basic white using some Stampin' Blends. So I have Highland Heather, I have Bermuda Bay, kind of dark, kind of greeny, Parakeet Party, Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, and Flirty Flamingo. So there are two different variations, but I wanted to try this one first, or I wanted to try this one before I pressed record, because I thought the Merry Melody embossing folder is a great background for these little songbirds, right? But the way I did my first card, you can't really see it. Now, part of that reason is because I embossed it and then I put it through flat because I didn't want it quite so in your face, but then it melted in just a little bit too much. So I tried this one, still flattened, but I inked up the music notes using a sponge dauber and some Tahitian Tide ink. So I am going to do a variation of these two cards, and as I'm recording this, I have a cold that just will not go away. It's not COVID. I've had like 7 negative tests at this point, but I'm coughing, I'm sniffling, all of that jazz. So I am just going to record what I'm doing here and then do a voice out over. So when you're seeing this, it will be voiceovered. You won't. If you would like to make one of these cards for your own, you can get your hands on the tutorial 3 different ways. 1, you can purchase it outright. 2, you can join my team. 3, you can shop with me and spend $35 and you will get the tutorial for free. That will get you all of the dimensions, instructions, supplies, etc. Here I am just embossing that Merry Melody into the Tahitian Tide cardstock. Just going to add a little bit of Tahitian Tide ink to make that the music notes pop out a little. Now I went heavy-handed in the upper right corner, so I'd suggest go lightly. You can always add more, you can't take it off. Now I decide that I don't like how dark it is on that one side, so I'm just going to blend a little bit of Tahitian Tide everywhere so that it's not quite so stark. There's always a way to fix something, right? Just going to trim it so that it's a little bit closer to the dots on all 4 sides. So here I'm just lining up my rainbow colors so that I get at least 2 dots of each color, 2 lines of each color. I need more than 2 dots, obviously, right? So just use some regular old Scotch tape to tape that down. Add some glue to the back, and we're just going to start popping those little circles in. So I added a whole bunch of glue, well, not a whole bunch, tiny little dots of glue. And when I get to the colors that have a little bit more dots, longer lines, you'll see I only go about halfway with the glue, add the dots, and then go the other half. I didn't want my glue to start drying. And sometimes the dots can be a little bit of a pain to put in, so I think this one I probably should have gone only halfway, but I went the whole way. And this video is sped up quite a bit. I only wish that I could work this fast. I'm just putting some blocks and the punch on top to make sure that my dots stay where they're supposed to. And when done, I will set it aside and let it set. So now we can start putting the background together. That little brown, the soft suede piece, I will show you how I cut that later, but it is from the Paradise Palms bundle. You could really use any strip die, or you could just fussy cut a piece of soft suede. And then I did emboss it with a timber embossing folder. Here you can see I'm just stamping my birds, both the big and small, in Sweet Sorbet. Going to punch them out. Takes a little bit to get this one right where I need it to be, but I manage. Using the putty end of the take your pick tool can be a great way to get something where you need it to be when you're just punching a little piece. Or you could plan it properly and use a template and stamp them all right where they need to be. Here are two little Mango Melody beaks. And this one doesn't have a punch, so I'm just going to fussy cut it quickly. Let me know in the comments below, are you team fussy cutting or dread it? For me, there's a time and a place. I don't do it when I don't have to, but sometimes you have to. So, funny story, I was using that little shape that I just punched as a wing, kind of a whimsy wing. It wasn't until I was doing a Facebook Live recently where someone mentioned, oh, it's supposed to be the belly. So I am using it as the belly, but you can see that I used my nail buffing block just to soften that edge a little bit. I felt like it was a little harsh. So there's some glue for the beak. I am going to, because that belly is the same size for both birds, you can see I just placed it on top of where it should be, cut off the extra, buff it, and glue it on. And then we have mama and baby with their little white bellies. Totally optional step, of course. Add the baby beak, add the wings. And truth be told, this was not a bundle I thought I was going to get, but there are so many stinking cute samples out there that I just could not resist. On my original card, when I stamped the eyes, I had both of them open, but I decided I want the baby bird's eyes to be closed, kind of like he's sleeping in the nest, he or she. So now I'm using the Give It a Whirl dies to die cut a couple of clouds, and I changed them up a little bit from my original design, and you'll see that I stamp welcome on the larger cloud and then some of the music notes on the smaller one. When I go to adhere them, I have an epiphany that kind of the music note should be coming from the baby and the welcome should be from the mom. So there you can see I just cut off that little bit of the palm tree. Add it as the branch. I went ahead and I have already stamped and fussy cut the nest. It is all ready to go. I'm using a whole bunch of dimensionals, and this little part here is just cutting off that extra piece of the baby's tail that's hanging out of the nest. You can't have it hanging out, right? So here you'll see me put the clouds on, well, one of the clouds in the wrong spot, and then I change my mind. And right about here. I figured baby wouldn't be saying welcome, mama would be saying welcome. So easy enough to pull off and redo. So now I'm going to adhere those little pieces of leaves. So the sentiment is from Happy and Heartfelt, which unfortunately is not carrying forward, but I thought it was the perfect little sentiment. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon, my crafty friends. Bye.